last night. As y'all know, the Celtics are my pick to go to the NBA Finals. I think it's going to be them against the Warriors. Well, damn it, I'm about to change my mind. I mean, they're getting their butts waxed. They don't seem on the same page. Milwaukee is formidable. Budenholzer is a coach of the year candidate. Meanwhile, Brad Stevens has tailed off a little bit. I'm still a fan of Brad Stevens. I think he can coach, but I think that mistakes have been made in Boston, and I don't think there's any way around it. I like Gordon Hayward a lot. That leg injury that he had last year that he suffered in the first 5 minutes of the season opener against the Cleveland Cavaliers in LeBron's last year there. That's the kind of injury. It was so nasty. I was right there. It's the kind of injury where you got to sit down for a while. You really, really do. I don't think he should have been back at the beginning of the season this year. I think the Boston Celtics should have waited until midseason to bring him back, brought him off the bench, let him sort of work his way back into the mix. That way, you feed off the chemistry that you had built last year when you went to the conference finals, albeit without Kyrie Irving. You find a way to get Kyrie Irving in the mix again, and you go from there. That's what they should have done. But unfortunately, while everybody's looking at Kyrie Irving, I don't find that to be the big problem. I find the big problem to be the fact that you started off wrong by trying to reinsert Gordon Hayward into the mix prematurely because you're the Boston Celtics. You obviously wanted your great white hope, the second coming of Larry Bird to some degree or whatever the case may be. And as a result, you tried to reinsert him into the mix, put him right in the starting lineup where he clearly did not deserve it. And as a result, you compromised and hindered the growth, as far as I'm concerned, of a Jaylen Brown, of a Jason Tatum. And you kind of messed with guys' heads a little bit, albeit unintentionally. Nevertheless, that basically is what has happened. And so you've been trying to catch yourself and get yourself together. You're 13 games over 500. So you're not awful. The problem is Toronto and Milwaukee are not playing. The Greek Freak is something special. Budenholzer could coach his butt off. Bledsoe and Middleton and those boys are assisting the Greek Freak. And in Toronto, even without Kawhi Leonard, who's missed about 16 or 17 games, I mean, think about some of the things that the Toronto Raptors are doing this year. They're 45-17 after destroying the Celtics last night, okay? Kawhi Leonard is Kawhi Leonard, all right? You look at Siakam, he's actually hitting threes. Marcus Gasol's coming off the bench. Kyle Lowry's still doing what he's doing. Danny Green is that extra individual that came over with Kawhi Leonard. They're incredibly formidable. I now find myself in a situation where I'm literally preparing for a Milwaukee-Toronto conference finals. I mean, I got to get global entry for crying out loud. I don't even have global entry. I wasn't thinking about going to Canada. Now I got to think about going to Canada. That's what I got to end up doing because the Celtics just ain't getting it done. And I haven't even brought Philly into the mix yet. Because with Tobias Harris, with Jimmy Butler, with Joel Embiid, with Ben Simmons, with Redick, the 76ers are no joke. They don't have much depth. But that starting five is no joke. They can beat anybody. So I'm just looking at it right now, and I'm saying the Boston Celtics were one win away from the NBA Finals last year because they took Cleveland to get 7 games. And this year, they could end up getting bounced out in the first round. Now, do I see that happening? No. But could it happen? Hell yeah. So even though they're 13 games over 500, there is no question that the season is in jeopardy, that they look like a huge disappointment. And they better find a way to get their act together. Because I think if they don't, it's going to affect Kyrie's money in the offseason. It's going to affect Terry Rozier's money in the offseason, which is one of the reasons why I think Terry Rozier should have an attitude. Not saying that he does or doesn't, because I don't know, because I haven't spoken to him. But I got news for you. If he got attitude, I don't blame him. I think this brother's a starting point guard in the NBA. And I think his money is being compromised because of the nonsense going on in Boston. If I were Brad Stevens, I would take Jaylen Brown and I'd put him right back in the starting lineup with Kyrie, with Horford, with Jason Tatum. That's what I would do. And Morris, of course. I'd put him right back in the starting lineup. I'd have Marcus Smart go to the bench, not because he's unproductive, because I need his energy off the bench. That's why. And I'd have him and Rozier coming off the bench. And I'd find a way to fit Gordon Hayward in the mix. And if I couldn't figure out a way, so be it for this season. I know you paid him $131 million. But damn it, this ain't about that. I know he's the great white hope in Boston. It's not about that. It's about winning. And as far as I'm concerned, Gordon Hayward would have to figure it out just for this season. I know he's the future, but just for this season, he'd have to figure it out. Because I need Tatum